You've probably seen this Chinese font before, likely more than once. Most Chinese learning apps use it, most websites use it, and video subtitles use it. But this is Heiti font. And if you are learning Chinese right now, stop, because this is not the right font for you. Instead, Kaiti is the best font for anyone who is learning Chinese. And here's why. You might be surprised to learn that there really aren't that many fonts available for Chinese, but when you think about it, it does make sense. Unlike the Latin alphabet with 26 letters for English and maybe some more characters for other languages, Chinese is composed of tens of thousands of unique characters, all of which need to be individually designed. So for that reason, there are relatively few Chinese fonts, and the ones that are available can be categorized into three major categories: Kaiti, Songti, and Heiti. Kaiti is the oldest style because it's based on brush script, which is how the ancient Chinese wrote. The strokes are organic and dynamic, and even in stillness express the speed and pressure of a brush gliding over paper. Songti came later, around 1000 AD during the Song dynasty. It was around this time that the world's first movable type printing was invented by Bi Sheng, and wood block printing reached peak popularity. This font is based off of typography that was optimized for printing, both for easier carving of the wood and durability of the printing block. Heiti is the most modern of the three, only coming into existence in the last century or so. However, it has quickly risen in popularity, especially in the digital age. Its distinguishing feature is that all strokes in Heiti font are basically uniform in width, making it easier to read. This is the font you will see on most websites and Chinese learning apps. So why am I advocating for Kaiti fonts? Because Chinese characters are meant to be written, not stamped out, and certainly not typed out with a virtual keyboard on your cell phones. And Kaiti fonts are the most pure expression of the way they're meant to be expressed. With the varying thickness of the strokes, you can see the movements of the brush that wrote them. And learning to write by hand is an essential part of learning any language, and especially a language like Chinese with such a distinct writing system. Both of the other fonts make compromises based on their applications. So Songti font makes compromises to better suit printing with wood blocks, and Heiti fonts were made for readability in the modern age. So given these benefits, why aren't Kaiti fonts used more often? It's actually quite simple. It's because Kaiti fonts don't work well in smaller font sizes. Because the strokes can taper to thin points, when the font size is small, they become very hard to read. And this is exactly why Heiti fonts are so popular. If you need small font sizes, Heiti fonts are the easiest to read because the strokes are all uniform in width, or mono-weight. If we were to compare it to English, then Heiti fonts are the Chinese equivalent of sans serif fonts, like Calibri, and are used in any application where readability is important. You'll notice that sans serif fonts are also preferred in English for small font applications, like on mobile devices. Songti fonts are like serif fonts in English. They are not used nearly as often, but they are still commonly used for headers and titles, or to create a newspaper-like print style. Think Times New Roman. And Kaiti fonts would be like a handwriting or calligraphy font in English. For most Chinese people, this is a font that is mostly used in textbooks and educational materials, but not so much in the real world. So while there are benefits to Heiti font and there's a place for Songti font, if you're actively learning Chinese, and especially if you're learning how to write Chinese characters, it's essential that you're using Kaiti font as a reference, or your characters might come out looking like space aliens. If the program you're using allows for it, I would definitely recommend you change the font to Kaiti font. This will ensure you're learning the most accurate representation of Chinese, and perhaps you will appreciate the beauty of Chinese characters even more. That's it for today. Until next time, 我们下次再见了，拜拜。